So Fletch is the one that you was talking about that's working.
Yeah, he's closing the restaurant. I'm sorry, we live now. Yeah, he's
Oh,
closing the restaurant. So I'm not
okay.
sure if he'll be able to join us, but I did send him the information and the reason why we wanted him to come on.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice to have that other perspective.
hmm And if we
Yeah.
plan it in advance, it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if the spontaneous happens, then good, but we could
Mm-hmm.
definitely plan it.
Maybe one of our male group members
How about that?
will want to join and talk about this subject from the male perspective.
Absolutely. We always welcome that. So, good evening. Good evening. This is our relationship flow sip and chat with Dr. Carissa and Mary May. So, I always start with the first question, and it's your birthday week. Woo woo.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it is.
What you got in your
Usually
cup? Hot
water.
tea. Okay.
Nope, got some water today.
Okay. You was about to say usually you traveling the
Yeah, I'm
Caribbean
usually
islands.
yes, I'm usually out of the country on my birthday week, but I'm not messing with the corona.
And listen, they won't let us come in anyway these
Yeah, a lot of
days,
companies are making you quarantine as soon as you get there.
right? And then some of the places are not even opening up because of concern of us coming from different places in the United
Hmm.
States. So on tap this evening, I'm like looking for the flyer. There we go. We have our discussion flow for intimacy, anxiety, and communication. Oh, somebody gave you a birthday shout out.
Thank you, whoever that is.
I'm cheating again this week, so I got the seat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're not gonna show us your pretty color hair? Did you color it? A little
Oh
parts of it.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, what
yeah,
is she talking about? See,
yeah. I'm not.
you're supposed to be in the
I
island
got.
somewhere.
I know, man. I have a hidden rainbow in my
Mm-hmm.
hair. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
various shades of pink. I
Okay.
mean, I'd have to turn all the way around,
All right.
but
Well.
it's called the hidden rainbow because it's just through the midsection of my hair, and
Okay.
it's pink and purple and like lavender. It's cute. It's
Okay.
pretty big.
All
You can
right.
see it if I put my hair up, but
I saw the pictures, so that's how I knew it was some
okay.
color variation thing going on. And then
Yeah.
your dear friend Ruth Lee is the one who's wishing you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Neil. My fellow Leo sister.
Oh goodness, happy birthday, Ruth. Happy
Yes,
birthday, and
yes.
thank you for tuning in this evening too. So, um, you said normally. So, if you had a magic wand and there was no corona, which island would you be sitting on right now with your cup of water?
Um, hmm. I think I'd probably be back in Barbados. That's where I was 2 years ago, and the year before that for my
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend's birthday. I'm in love with Barbados.
I
St.
love
Martin is
Barbados.
my spot, but I am
I
really
love Barbados.
feeling Barbados. Yes.
They
I
don't
mean,
want
of
us there
course,
right now, but
man.
nobody wants us. We're like the throwaway children. But anyway, I'm sorry. It's your birthday celebration. What? Okay. I love Barbados. I went there 2 times, 3 times, 3 times.
Mhm.
Yeah, back in the days when I was able to travel.
Oh yeah, when any of us was able to travel.
Right. Yeah. So you would have flying fish because it's Friday, and you would go to the Friday night cookout, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes,
I'm trying to
yes.
think what else was a Bayesian cuisine. I can't remember right now. Oh, pepper pot, because I've been trying to make it the past couple weeks. It's some
Okay.
pepper pot. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've been craving my Bayesian. I don't know how to do the flying fish. So I'll just save that for when I get my passport stamped again. But
Okay.
pepper
Yes.
pot, I
Yeah.
can rock out the pepper pot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the time when things open back up and we can start, getting back out there and traveling again.
Right.
I'm really missing that. Not missing too much else, but I'm missing
Right.
that.
Right. How about I think I shared a couple weeks ago I had a speaking engagement in the Maryland area. So not too
Mm.
far from us, like an hour and a half. And traveling there, it's like that's an area I travel to often when able to like freely travel. But this time, because of all of the precautions in place, it felt really awkward because
Really?
of like, well,
Sure.
because I'm a germaphobe, because I'm allergic to the world. And so I had my Clorox cleanup, my
Right.
everything to clean down the room. It was, yeah, like, of course, I always travel with that, but it was like extra sensitive to it this time. And everywhere you went, you had to wear the mask. And I was like, this is not my normal trip. Like, what is happening? But duty called, and I
Hmm.
served.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you weren't afraid to make that move?
I was in deep prayer.
Okay.
Deep prayer. And like I said, I was just very precautious around everything. They're not an epicenter. Yeah. So, I mean, they're not all the way open, but they're not an epicenter either. So I guess that was what made it seem okay.
Hmm.
So I've been okay. It's been 2 weeks. I haven't had no breakdowns.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I know another colleague is traveling this weekend to Canada. Well, not to Canada, to New York to go to Niagara Falls. And so she was like all super concerned and asking the hotel a whole bunch of questions. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I
But
don't blame her for that. You want to make sure folks are, you know, protecting you while
mhm,
you try to protect yourself.
right, right. So, where we want to start with this lovely conversation on intimacy, communication, and anxiety.
Well,
How?
we have a male, one of our male group members who is interested in coming on.
Oh, well, text me their email. I could bring them into the panel,
Okay.
unless they just want to chat through the chat, but that'll be a delay.
Right. Right. Okay. I sent them the link you sent me.
Okay, that'll work because
Okay.
then it'll pop up.
All right. Okay. But yeah, I mean, where do we want to start?
I don't know. I
I mean,
mean,
we could
we
we
want to
could
start with
start
the
with we could start with um talking about the different types of intimacy
okay,
and
and
start
then
from there and then branch out into how these different types of intimacy are disturbed or affected by
mhm,
anxiety, lack of communication,
mhm, or
or
other,
other issues.
yeah, so other since finances interrupt intimacy. Um,
Hmm.
not feeling that you're able to share the responsibilities in your house impact intimacy. And I guess I do look at intimacy from a broader perspective. Like, I know we have the types, but intimacy is not just the sexual act, it's
Mm-mm.
actually the nurturing of the mind, the body, and the soul. And from just simple actions that you do on a day-to-day basis and throughout the day.
Hmm. I don't think a lot of people know that. I
Mm-hmm.
got my first introduction to the word intimacy in high school
Mm,
in our it was our health class, I believe.
mm,
And I remember, when the teacher said we were going to talk about intimacy, everybody was like, "Oh, we're going to talk about sex." Oh,
right,
and it wasn't even that.
right,
She was like, "No, intimacy is when you can sit in a room with someone quietly and still feel good. You don't even have to be doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
just there with each other in comfort,
Right.
you know,
Comfort.
in comfort.
Comfort. And
Comfort.
that you're trusting them, and that you know, are valuing. It's almost like how we do in like confirmation and acknowledgement forms of counseling, when we be like, I hear you and I see you. It's like, do you
Hmm.
hear your partner? Do you see your partner? Do you hear and see your child's voice of what they're trying to say? Because that's an intimate moment as well.
Hmm.
And so I know one of the things that like I'm reveling in how you described it, as far as just enjoying the quietness but the presence of a person being there for you.
Hmm.
Um, and thinking about what I had put in the chat, like into me see, like that you're able to see into the individual in regards to what their heart is, what their values are, the things that are important to them, and so forth. Hey, Tanya. So Tanya said, "Evening, ladies," and then Ruth is
Hi.
the next comment. Intimacy, a connection for me. So Ruth, tell us more. Like, how is it and you know, because we kind of said how it's interpersonal, is personal, is how someone acknowledges you in this space. So how is it that a connection for you? I know Carissa knows you, so I don't know. And I'm not gonna put Tanya on the spot because then she'll leave. So as she's, you know, because it is a delay when they respond, and she's talking
Okay.
about connection. Is it a way you would want to define like what that connection is? Because it kind of goes with your definition that you gave. You always give me that look.
Oh, you talking to me?
Yes.
Actually, I actually thought you were still talking to Ruth. That's why I'm like just waiting for her response.
Oh goodness. She said for
But
me,
yeah,
I
I
need.
mean, that I said that was my first introduction to the word
Mm-hmm.
intimacy. I think I probably was in like the ninth grade. That was my
Wow.
first introduction. But over the years and growing and being in relationships, I've come to see it in that broader perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about a sexual relationship at
Right.
all.
At all.
It involves so much more.
Because we get stimulated by so much, and especially when we're connected to social media, like we're intimately connecting to different spaces all the time, and information is constantly being downloaded into us, whether we receive it or not is something different, but it's still an intimate moment. Like, how much more of this documentary are you willing to learn, or how much more of this book is really driving your interest, or how much is this phone conversation like really saying, you know what, I would like to go out and date this person, or how does it just expand your horizon or your interest like a little bit further, that you like, I think they do see me. I think I can spend some quality time, with this person.
Hmm.
So I don't know who that is. So I agree with both of your um, broader perspectives.
Hmm.
And then Ruth is like, I have this with my children and husband and friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, and each relationship is different. Like there's
Yeah.
no cookie cutter, because like you said, that was in ninth grade. I'm sure by the end close of high school, that there was one definition. Then college, it got nurtured and developed into some other
Hmm.
thing. And as I'm saying this, I'm also saying for myself, I know that it
Hmm.
changed in these cycles for me. And then in adulthood, it has definitely changed, because life changes and we don't get a
Hmm.
script.
Hmm.
Because when people hear intimacy, I remember talking about this a couple weeks ago, and when you talk about intimacy from a male perspective, they still 40 plus sex only.
Hmm.
They
Not
still
surprising.
not surprising,
Sorry, guys, but it's
right?
not surprising.
Because we're the more of the empaths and like wanting it to be the ambiance. If you creating like a moment for us, or for the both of us to have that shared mutual space, how you create that type of intimacy, you know, means how much you care about me, how much investment did you have in spending this moment with me, or just going further.
Hmm.
So then we have the types of intimacy,
Hmm.
and I have 5 different types of intimacy written down. Um, I'll just say what they are first, and then we can go back and
Hmm.
peel back the layers. So,
Okay.
emotional, mental, physical, sexual, and spiritual.
Hmm.
So, let's jump into, I guess, the emotional. What you got,
Hmm.
Dr. Carissa? Come on, you sure you only drinking water over there? I know it's your birthday week.
No, no, it's my allergies. Sometimes you know how they have your head so clogged up, like
Mhm.
you like, man. And I have a Navage, and I used that earlier, and I was clear for a little while, but it's coming back.
Okay.
It's starting to come back.
All
But
right.
I want to what I want to say is I think that with all types of intimacy comes trust.
Mhm.
You have to have that trust factor in order for you to be vulnerable enough to experience the intimacy. And I
Mhm.
think that's for all the types, because you have to be willing to be open
Mhm.
and really share who you are, which is difficult if you don't trust someone,
Or difficult if you're
even in a
not really
sexual
sure who
relationship.
you are.
Huh?
It's also
Huh?
difficult if you're not sure who you are,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, because you may be a get along to go along person versus that you really trust that this is something that you want to experience with the said individual.
Hmm.
So I know in emotional it says sharing your feelings and thoughts of self disclosure. So that goes right in alignment with what you were just saying, like that whole self disclosure part. Um, because the self disclosure, if it's been violated in some particular way in your younger years, um, and the violation doesn't have to necessarily be aggression or anything like that, but it could be that as well. But if it's been violated to someone that you thought you was going to trust and love for all of your years, that something interrupts that or stops it, then you carry that until it's resolved for you. And in carrying that, it ends up blocking you in some ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you think it blocks you, Mary?
So our mind is the strongest weapon in our entire body outside of our tongue. Let me not take the tongue
Hmm.
away. But in our mind, it stops us because if we are constantly rehearsing those old situations that we haven't healed from, or kind of like peeled back and created what the meaning it is that it plays in our lives, then we could be in the best moment of intimacy, and the person says, does, is a smell, they do something that creates a reaction that takes you back to that undesirable moment. And then your body goes into like a fight or flight and begins to freeze or not really be receptive to what is happening in the present, because now you're second guessing, should I be here? Should I have said yes? Do I trust this person to do different by me than the past experience that I'm being reminded of? And it's just
Hmm.
that whole thought can dry you out, so to speak.
Figuratively and literally.
Figuratively and literally. It can dry you out, and you could be like, okay, wait, I was ready. And then all of a sudden I wasn't ready. And compatibility wise, your partner is thinking that, okay, well, I'm doing all the work I could do. And it's not even about the work at that point because your mind has frozen you to an undesirable place. So that's what I mean when I say it can freeze you, it can pause you, it can create a scenario for you that may or may not be realistically true. I did say dry out. I did. I mean, this is real talk conversation, right? um, so I did. Look at who is in the conversation.
Hey,
Hey,
how y'all
Chad.
doing?
We
What's
good.
going
How are
on?
you?
I'm good. How you doing? What is this?
Oh, he said,
Oh,
"What is this?" Mm-mm-mm.
no, it's on the screen. I thought it was in my house. It's on the screen.
No, it's
No, it's
on
on the
the screen.
screen.
Yes,
Okay.
screen.
What is
How
that? Like a
are
grape
you,
or something?
Chad?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good. You got something in
Good,
your cup
good.
because Carissa got water in her cup. You got something in
Yeah.
your cup. It's the sip and
Uh,
chat. Come on.
I don't have a sip. I got something
Okay.
else though.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you.
Right.
All right, right. They already mad at me because I said that certain things happen and it cause you to dry out, and they like, did she say dry out? I did. I did. I did.
So,
Oh,
Chad, we were talking about intimacy and the different definitions of intimacy or the different ways you could be intimate with somebody.
Mm,
And someone brought up the fact that a lot of times men only think of intimacy from the sexual standpoint.
mm.
And someone asked, so why do males define intimacy from a sexual perspective? And is that even all men? Do you yourself, or guys who know about being intimate on the emotional level or a mental level or a spiritual level?
I'm for me. I'm more intimate on a I now more on a spiritual level. Um, but I don't like. I guess because I'm much older now, and experience has been a little more different for me. So intimacy in terms of a sexual nature, like no, not. I'm usually not in the mood like I used to be. But I think that's more on the lines of like men who have more options than they used to have before. So it's so easier for men to look at intimacy when they don't really, and that's not to say that men don't get that from home, but a lot of us may not have grown up with fathers, mothers, and we may have been grown, raised by other siblings or grandparents. So when you don't really have people to really help nurture those emotions into you. It's kind of hard for people to understand the differences between like intimacy itself. But I don't know. Not for me. I don't really look at it from the sexual nature. Now, as far as friends, that's kind of hard to. I can't really account for them. Some of them, yeah, that's the only way they know how to render
gotta
affection.
get that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, do you have like, is it a space where men can talk about it being anything different than just, that singular type framework, or does it only come with maturity and time?
Uh, Maturity and time is always a factor, but I think it depends on, the village, like who's around you, like, who your influences. Like I was fortunate enough to have a lot of a lot of great male influences, even those who are not like a father to me, but they played a father figure role to me. So I was able to learn and adapt to certain changes. So I mean, a lot of people aren't as fortunate as I am.
Okay, okay. I receive that. I receive
Yeah.
that. I
So I'll
receive
just
that.
pull my glass up over here.
Okay. All right. I know it was nearby from what I know of
Yeah.
Mr. Chad.
Don't make it
Um,
sound like a bad thing.
no. Please don't take that as any shade, you
Oh
all.
yeah.
all
Oh
love
yeah,
and
we
affection.
good. Yeah, this is a safe
Um,
space. A safe space.
it's a definite safe space. Like I said, they still mad at me for my comment, but I like to keep it real.
Now, someone said, I agree, Mary. I sometimes struggle with this because of my childhood abandonment issues.
So go
Now,
ahead and take a stab at that,
are they
Doc.
saying that are no? I wanted to know if are they saying that they struggle with intimacy as a whole or certain parts of intimacy? Is the struggle to trust people enough to feel safe in an intimate kind of environment?
Right.
You know, it's a lot of
Or
factors in there. I mean,
even with the abandonment, when people that you are starting to trust want to introduce new ideas and new things that you haven't been exposed to before, then that abandonment protective measure that you have around yourself sometimes, I mean, most of the time, like flares up and says, okay, wait a minute, we need to put the brakes on because you try to do too much. And I was told in marriage, like all of these social constructs in which certain things are supposed to occur, but yet you're being introduced or invited to certain things, that are maybe different than that. Or you might think about, okay, well, am I supposed to do this in a dating situation, or am I supposed to do this just in life in general? So it's like you begin to question, and then your value on that relationship begins to get measured against your level of trust and what you're willing to learn with them.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, but also with this generation, also like look at the imagery. Like I just watched this video today of what's that, Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, right?
I saw a
And
whole couple posts about that. Like, how is that promoting self-esteem or anything? But go ahead.
but you know what, the wild thing is it promotes self-esteem in individuals who come from that world of the nightlife and who are in the street, because a lot of those people, they deal with emotion and they deal with things like intimacy and affection way different than how you and I would. Like if you know people who are out there in the streets, whether, and it depending on whatever it is that you're doing in the streets. Like
Mhm.
some people only know how to feel based on, like, people are more reactive than they are receptive to things. So
Mhm.
if, you know, watching that video showed, women living carefree, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's showing, or where's the value? But that's not to
Right.
say that they don't. Neither individual does not value themselves. But you know, people tend to look at stuff like that and they say, well, damn, how am I supposed to find a wife out of this crowd when they all like this type of music and they all like this type of lifestyle, and
And when
they
the song
dress
come
this
on,
way.
they all start doing a certain dance.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And they all
It's
talking about where the bag at.
right, but
Secure bag.
that's pretty much the norm nowadays. Like, a lot of people, this generation now, the generation that's under me, uh, you know, their
What generation
emotions
is
are
that?
so.
Are you a millennial? I'm trying to
I'm a
remember.
millennial, but more
Okay.
disease.
Okay,
You
more to
know,
the Z.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
my generation also. I mean, they struggle. We struggle with a lot of things. Like, I have friends who have, they have a lot of children with a lot of different people, and it's like, at what point was there love, or was that just the intimacy part and things got out of hand? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So, but then it's like when the kids are here, and now the issue is y'all don't get along anymore. It took
Mm-hmm.
until the child to get here for that whole, all the intimacy that you had, like he could have,
Like the
you know,
chandeliers and the flowers
yeah,
and the
all,
dinners, all of those things that drew you in, and then now
yeah,
you're like, oh, I wasn't
oh
trying to
yeah,
have a person come from
oh yeah,
this.
all
Mm.
of that changes when she said, "Oh yeah, I'm late." Yeah, yeah, I bet.
That's a
So
new
now,
conversation.
exactly. And but it ties into that intimacy, because people, we don't know how to exhibit it. So, you know, Is there like that's like people who don't really believe in love anymore. Like I was
Mm.
one of those people. Carissa know me. I didn't like cry my little eyes out to her, but I didn't. There's a lot of times I can honestly say I didn't listen. I didn't listen. She was teaching
Yeah.
me all the
Right,
times, and yeah,
right,
yeah, and that's
right,
another conversation.
right. Comedy.
I,
I remember comedy.
but I think comes from home.
Mhm.
To me, I think
Okay.
everything comes from home.
So someone said those people are entertainers and they sell a product and an image, which is true. But a lot of times they have a big influence as well.
Mhm.
And I
Because
don't knock
The
teachers,
either
biggest
one
influence in
of them.
today's time.
I listen to their music, but I know as an
Hey,
adult
I'm not mad at none of
female,
them.
mature woman that it is entertainment.
mhm,
But
you're,
not everybody can make that distinction.
mhm.
Right.
And then therefore that's the way
Well,
that they learn what they're supposed to do or expected to do, or somebody's going to challenge them to do. Like that's their lesson. They don't have any other space to really learn this important conversation on what intimacy is and what it means to me.
you know what I mean? Well, then, that's also, I know it keeps saying like, it starts from home. But then when it's not in the home, then it becomes a community issue
Mhm.
because then you take that and then you look at all of the violence that's going on in Philly right now.
Mm.
Like at this, and you would think that a lot of this would be curbed due to COVID, but it's not. It's increasing. So where's the love? Where's the intimacy? The intimacy is
Mhm.
in, the emotion that some of these people have. Like if you are somebody that's always angry, like it's kind of hard to show love. Like if like I've never seen this many children die in Philadelphia in all my life. And I'm only
Right.
35. I've never seen that. So it's hard for people to show love and affection to one another when everybody's so filled with that type of emotion full of hate. So
Mhm.
I don't want to blame the imagery on, having that. I guess I'm trying to word it right, but when we brought up like Cardi B and that whole thing, like yes, that
You
is
brought
that
up
is entertainment and they are entertainers. But Carissa's right. They do have a heavy influence because anytime that a lot of these a lot of our young women and men are constantly quoting catchphrases and showing memes and posts and stuff, they really believe that. Like when people
Mhm.
say, F love, get money, get the bag. No, people really believe that. They really believe that love does not exist anymore and love only comes in green rectangular pieces of paper.
Right.
you know what
But
I
then
mean?
we also have evidence on the other side of that, where entertainers have that green rectangular type of paper that amounts to a big bank account, and they see on that side of the game that that didn't create intimacy, love, nurturing, like all the things that I thought that now, because I have access to it, I didn't have access before. But then, I mean, I'm gonna stretch back, and I might be showing my age, but I'm okay with it. When Dennis Rodman acknowledged that the people were hanging around him didn't care about him, and he's coming from a foster care type background, he knew it. Like he knew it and embraced that that's what it was, but he still valued the people being around him because he didn't want to be lonely. So
Mhm.
it's like he's a person that had that green rectangular paper as a resource, but it was like he was happy as long as people were around him at whatever emotional cost it came with it. And we saw him
Yeah,
expressing himself in a whole bunch of ways.
yeah.
Mhm. For
But then it's
sure.
like, is the risk worth the reward? Like, yes, you got all this money and you out there, and yes, I watched that documentary where you left and you went to Vegas for 72 hours and you wilding, you was on the coke bench, you did all this stuff, and all these people were around you because you had all of this money, but nobody cared about you because if you would have OD'd out there, they'd have been like, all right, well, I don't know if the Bulls are going to win, but their player just
They would
died.
have on to the
Like,
next.
on to the
Mhm.
next. So it's
On to
like
the next. Just like the
money.
Cardi B narrative. She's always on to the next.
She's also
We
an
talked
emotional
about
wreck at
that.
times too, man. I
Right.
think so. Like
What your Alexa is
Nah.
talking, Dr. Chris?
If you just whispered to me, if you'd like me to whisper back, say, turn on whisper mode.
When you said on to the next, Alexa came on.
Oh,
Said, what would you like for me to play for you next?
oh goodness. Sorry, Alexa. Sorry, Chad.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, but so I like Chad's question though. Is it worth what is it worth it? Is what
Right. Is the risk worth the reward?
Is the risk worth the reward?
You know what I mean? Because because a lot of these younger people today, their influences or influencers are pop stars and entertainers now. And we've seen like prime example when Nipsey Hussle died. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of struck a chord with me. And me and this guy was the same age, but he had a huge influence on a lot of younger people because not only was did he come from the street life and gang banging and stuff like that, he grew into a young mogul and had the sharp mind of a businessman. So the influence was that people were they were sort of trading in the whole notion of like, get fast money, spend it. Now this guy was talking about having assets and building generational wealth and doing stuff like that. And I think that becomes more of a community effort because people had to get involved. So while we're talking about building wealth and all that, then we got to get back to talking about building that intimacy with one another, because I can build anything by myself, but I can't do it alone. And if I can't show the type of affection that can go from loving somebody into translating that to business to monetize off of that, because everybody's monetizing off everything. Like, you notice how so many different shows about love, but nobody stays together. Like, or nobody's
love.
Yeah, like
the Bachelor shows, the marriage shows, the Love and Hip Hop shows, all those shows. Yeah.
Listen, I didn't even know that they were in California. I just thought it was New York and Atlanta. I didn't even know they stretched that far. And it's like
Jersey, and I think they have Baltimore, Ocean City. Jersey.
Yeah. All right. Oh wait, this thing live?
Like, this is live. Yes, it is.
All right, anybody from Jersey, my bad. Yeah, I know that.
Oh goodness.
like, get dude off camera, man.
Now we good with you. We need the real talk.
But I mean,
none of those shows really show what's supposed to happen in a healthy relationship.
Right. I just watched the dude choke a girl out on the show.
How about that?
Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah, like dude just tried to choke a girl out on the show. I'm just like, all right, how much of this is reality and how much of this is fantasy?
I think that was reality, because I think it was reality in a sense that they had an argument or shared words prior to. And when people try to peel back and talk about it, they're like, well, the men on the thing shouldn't have let it go that far. Listen, the men probably sitting next to their partner experiencing the same type of thing, and she knew what to say that was going to cause that type of reaction from him.
Yeah.
Because he tried to sit there for a while to, not feed in. But she went too far, and she knew she was going too far. She knew she was going too far. That wasn't, I mean, it probably is staged in a sense of the reason why media only talks about that part of the segment is because that's what's going to get them ratings. The other stuff is probably important, but they always focus on what's going to get them ratings. Choking a girl out on the scene.
But that's the problem. So we go from intimacy to lunacy. Like we're not even sane anymore. Like we're like, to get that mad on camera, Like,
Mhm.
you know, it's one thing that you probably would do it in private, but you had no problem not only doing it in front of people that were sitting on the couch with you, you did it on camera,
Mhm.
and it was broadcast throughout the world. So now you look nuts worldwide because I'm pretty
Right.
sure that was broadcast worldwide. You
Mhm.
look crazy.
But
So
so the
that
thing about
imagery
anger,
is now showing that it is that okay, or you know, is it okay to show that type of emotion? Like, you piss me off to the point that you said your words affect me that I have to put my hands on you.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
But that is the cornerstone of most of the relationships on these shows,
Mhm.
exactly,
you know?
exactly,
And like Mary said, I'm sure, they show those parts for the ratings, but it's happening.
right.
It's
Every single day,
happening.
right next door to us.
Yeah, that's right next door to
And
me. Like, my
when you
neighbors
see
fight every
people,
day.
you see
See
people
what I'm
who
saying?
who who watch these shows and will post things like relationship goals because they seen a segment where the couple seem to be talking all right that day.
Everybody was saying about Will and Jada, and now they rolling backwards. Like, oh, wait a minute, we ain't gonna have no entanglements in the middle of this situation.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna touch that.
I mean, there's so many layers to that, but we're not here. I mean, we could use them
No,
as an example, but I'm just saying,
Hmm.
no.
Yeah.
relationship goals should
So,
be between you and whoever you're trying to build that relationship with. Because although you may be the consistent denominator going from one relationship to the next, or as you grow from somebody and you go to the next, every person is not going to be open and receive what it is that you have to offer or understand it. But if they love you and they want to share that intimacy with you, they'll be willing to learn and say, okay, well, let me try to identify what it is that you're truly wanting or seeing of me.
hmm
I like that, but I
hmm
think it's also an issue that, you know, in this society today, that we continuously keep mirroring ourselves after other people. Like you say, goals, like relationship goals, couple goals. It's like, yes, that looks good. Like, I'll put prime example. People can look at, and I mean this all with respect, sis. People look at your relationship and be like, oh man, it's like it's y'all got the perfect relationship. But people don't know what it took for y'all to get to where you are today. You know what I mean? No, seriously.
Absolutely.
And it's just like my parents. My parents have been married for about 36 years now. And
Mhm.
it's not easy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
I
I
get it.
can't say the only thing I would want to mirror is the longevity, but the principles and what it took to get there, not the relationship itself, because you could, what looks good to other people, that person's a pain in the ass to you. Like,
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, we have been locked in our houses for about 5 months now, right?
hmm
Right.
And within the first, let's call it month three, I had an argument over fried chicken. You understand what I'm saying? I had an argument over fried chicken where
That's
I
petty.
said, yes, yes. When I'm pushed there, I am one of the pettiest people you would ever meet in your life. But not once during that whole segment did I think, man, you know what? Let me go back and then mirror mirror better experiences by watching other people.
Mm.
Like, and I think that imagery itself is what's causing a lot of rifts in people's relationship, because it's just like everybody wanted the Jay-Z and Beyonce love until these albums like Lemonade and 444 came out, when we started talking
Or
about the
the elevator
infidelity.
incident.
Yeah, but
hmm
you know what? I heard that was a bipolar episode, so I don't know what's true anymore.
Of
I
course,
did,
they're
yeah,
gonna blame it all on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
yeah. I
course they're gonna
mean,
blame it all on her.
yeah. I mean, but
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 you're
it's
right.
funny.
These people, follow these images. And one question that we received probably during our first segment was, where do people go for these images of healthy relationships? I mean, people always say, like you say, Chad, they looking for the longevity, but they're not thinking about what goes into the
right.
longevity,
It's work.
and
With this work.
I also had to remind people that longevity does not mean healthy or happy.
Right.
Exactly.
So you want
And it
the
doesn't mean that
the
you gotta stay,
longevity,
too.
but you want the quality as well.
Exactly.
You know, you could be together for 20, 30 years and just together because that's all you know and you're comfortable and you're scared to do something else.
Mhm.
That's not the
Exactly.
same thing as having a healthy relationship.
It's not.
Exactly. Because everybody look at stuff and then all of a sudden let somebody get divorced tomorrow. You be like, well damn, I thought, goals. Yeah, goals. Yeah.
Mhm.
Remember those goals? You still
I
follow
remember
that?
those goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
couple who
I
reached out to me month 2 into quarantine. Like, no, he gotta move all his stuff out. We like in the middle of the quarantine because I guess, it was a history, so we're not going to take away that there wasn't a history. There was a history. And then the particular reaction or behavior that they did just warranted, like, no, I can't share the same bedroom space with you anymore. They didn't kick him totally out the house, but they were no longer sharing that bedroom, and the husband got exiled to another area of the house. So like, they have children, so it's like, okay, yes, let's stay together and let's work things out. But sometimes when you look at, and is no two situations alike, time can be the killer. Time can be the social construct that makes you stay in something that's unhealthy, when you really got to take a step outside and say, all right, I got 20 years, I got 15 years, I got 30 years. Is this the best emotional wellness for not only me? What am I mirroring for my children? Because my children, I can have a great co-parenting relationship and have a different level of intimacy as a co-parent, but I don't have to live in a space that I'm dying, like I'm the Walking Dead, because I chose to stay in this space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said marriage may not mean emotional safety. Yes.
Because sometimes people
Yes.
crazy. I know
Yeah.
that's not
I mean,
politically correct from
sometimes
my
people marry.
perspective.
Some people marry for
Oh,
convenience.
yes. Yes.
It's a business
Some people.
contract.
That's something that a lot of people don't
Yeah.
often talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
Definitely.
people just simply marry for the convenience of it. I may not love you, but I love your money. Okay, I can tolerate you, but me and your money will go hand in hand. And that's
Mhm.
not always to say that that's something that a woman is getting from men. Some men marry to get money from women. You know what I
Right.
mean? Some people are opportunists. You know what I mean? Some people just like the word marriage and like the title of wife and title of husband, but then
Right.
forget that work is involved in those titles. So
Mhm.
that's why I think I think a healthy relationship is something to admire. I can admire your relationship
Mhm.
because it's something that I respect. If you're somebody that I have a lot of respect for, and you have a good marriage, I didn't say a great marriage, but you have a really good marriage, then I respect
Mhm.
that, because a great marriage means that nothing goes wrong. But a
And
good
that's all
marriage
it was.
means that, all right, we hit a couple.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. You hit a couple bumps in the road and then you guys get back. I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I think I think as a society we have to stop wanting to just be involved in everything. Like, it's like a camera everywhere. And I shouldn't
Yeah.
have to know what's going on in somebody else's marriage for
Especially when
me
you
to
post
formulate
everything,
an opinion of it.
and it shouldn't be on
Exactly.
social media. Like, it should be really personal.
Exactly.
It made me think of Chad. You said something that made me think of somebody who, Carissa, I could share their name offline. I wouldn't share it online. That I know because it's from our WW days. That they were in this relationship with this person that was long term committed, and because they no longer agreed to like a sister wives situation, but they wanted the trinkets that Chad was just talking about, like the status, the money, the resources, and everything like that. They knew that if the person was not living anymore, that they would still be able to maintain that, but the person had to, I'm gonna say, pass away a certain way.
Jeez.
And they basically organized that, thinking that they
Oh my
weren't going to
gosh.
get caught, and it did get caught. And
This a
unfortunately,
snapped episode?
it's a snapped episode that happened from one of the people you used to say
I don't
hi
mean to
to.
laugh, but
Oh
And we're
my gosh. That
God.
is craziness.
That's sick, man.
That
But
is.
people take it there for
It's
keeping
true. It's true. Or else there would be no smack. So
right.
people do take it there. People do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's unfortunate that people will take it there.
Mhm.
And like
Mhm.
even when somebody said, "Wow," when the conversation, no, when it first happened, I remember talking to some other trusted friend that was in the circle, and it was like, no, they wouldn't do that. They know too much strategy, but they love their trinkets. It was like,
Mhm.
okay, but yeah, they do love their trinkets. So at the
Mhm.
cost of keeping trinkets, now you have no trinkets, and you're living in an orange suit for the rest of your life.
You got some bracelets, some nice
You got some
bracelets.
person,
Some nice bracelets, a nice anklet with a ball on it.
listen, with a ball and chain. Ball and
That's
chain.
funny.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, and so who was this that commented? People basically couples divorce and separate after the distractions of the children are gone. Yeah, yeah, that does happen a lot because they say they're staying together for the children. But what I've seen in doing therapy with people who are in that situation is a lot of regret, lots of regret, wishing they had done it sooner,
Same here. I see
and
that.
hearing from their children that they wish they had done it because the
Hmm.
children were miserable too in that house, listening to all that was going on. A
And
lot of times they think that the children don't hear, but the
mm,
children hear, they
Yeah.
see, they feel the vibe
attention.
in the house.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I tell people all the time, children, you can raise much happier and healthier children in two healthy, happy households.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It's possible. You don't
It's
have to be in
possible. And
one
co-parents in
miserable
life. Yes.
household, in order to raise your kids.
Right.
But then I
Right.
wonder, for some people, I think and I could be wrong. I think some people love the power game. That if I
They
can
do.
hold something over you, like your kid, like money for your kid, then
Mhm.
I'm gonna,
Or
uh,
coupons,
yeah,
relational coupons.
yeah, that was good. Hey, listen, there ain't nothing wrong with a good
Some,
coupon,
I was just
but,
gonna say some coupons work.
but I think some people love having the advantage on their side when it comes to that. And I think
Hmm.
that's something that, you know, can determine how your child is going to come out of this. Like,
Hmm.
and then that then ties into intimacy, because if your kid sees, you know, mom and dad constantly fighting, they're not going to know how to have a regular conversation if somebody doesn't agree with them. Because
Hmm.
if they see disagreements all the time and the first disagreement turns into the biggest argument ever, then the
Hmm.
smallest thing to them is going to be the biggest. So it's going to be hard for them to know how to master emotional intelligence. It's going to be
And it's
hard for
gonna
them to do that.
manifest. And it's gonna
Mhm.
manifest in school situations if they're on a
Mhm.
team somewhere. So it manifests in the earlier years, but we don't see it as such.
Mhm.
We see the inconvenience of the school calling us and saying, okay, your
Mhm.
child got into a fight, or they didn't do their book report, or they've been coming late to school or not coming to school at
They
all. And you like,
yelling at the
they yelling
teacher.
at the teacher, they throwing stuff around
Exactly.
Mhm.
the room. Like I had a teenager,
Mhm.
oh God, this is a couple of years ago. She was a twin and her parents fought like cats and dogs every day. Like I would call home and they would be in the middle of a fight and they did not care that me being a mandated reporter was on the phone. They would be having dog time fights. But this young lady was in her math class and she had the BHW person working in the classroom with her, and she just got up, walked across the room, and just slapped him for no triggering moment whatsoever.
Wait, she
And
slapped a young man?
she slapped an adult that was there to provide her redirection and support to stay on task to the goals that was written in her plan.
Mhm.
Yes, an adult in the school building.
Mm.
And when it came to me as the clinician, I was like, you know, I was torn. I was, you know, on the restorative side, like, okay, well, she sees us at home, you know, this, that, and the other. They was like, well, Miss May, with all due respect, and we love you to the 100 power, she's going to have to restore outside of this building. And I said, you're right, because it sets the precedent of if she hits one adult, she can hit another adult, or another child can hit another adult for no apparent reason. But still, she learned that in her living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be careful too, because just like last week when we were talking about couples who say they never argue, you know, and how that's really unrealistic. It's kind of unrealistic to not let your kids see disagreements, you know, because but you want to make sure that they're constructive and that your kid is seeing conflict resolution,
How about that?
not just an argument that goes nowhere and somebody ends up storming out the house or calling somebody out their name, you know, stuff like that. So you want to be careful and keep it balanced, because you don't want your kids to think that a healthy relationship involves us never disagreeing with each other.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
Never want that. Never want that. So even with the healthy conflict resolution, it helps them as an adult begin to negotiate and navigate what's a good decision, what's a bad decision, what things I need to consider. So it's like, what happens in that living room? I'm always saying, if you have been following me for some time, like you already know, like I'm always saying that what happens in your living room plays out in other places, whether you wanted to or not. And culturally, we usually say what goes on in the house stays in the house, but it don't stay if it's aggressive.
No.
If it's aggressive,
And we had to always remind people that children do what they see. I always say that they do what they see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you want your children to know about healthy, intimate relationships, it's on you to model that.
right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the important part. Like model that so they can model that after you, and then they can create their own way of doing it. That doesn't have to simply just follow yours
Right.
to the letter. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if you show them, but if you show you know, animosity, and if you show them anger and you show them violence, I mean, you know, like you said, a child is only going to mirror what they see, and if that's all they
Mm-hmm.
know, you know, that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, Ruth, you're right. As an educator, I'm sure you've seen plenty of
Listen.
unhealthy interactions with kids, and you know it is what they saw in their home.
Mm-hmm. I love
And
the
I
fact that
know
I'm
it's
short.
very difficult for educators when
Mm-hmm.
they see this kind of behavior. You know, with me, when you and I would go into the schools, Mary, to do
Mm-hmm.
evaluations or therapy or whatever, you know, that's one of the top reasons we're called in.
That's the top reason. And that's what I was going to say. I
Top
love the
reason.
fact that I'm short. So I kind of blend in with the teens and the middle and high schools a little bit. So it's like you can get some of the skirt with the dirt, because, you know, you be standing there and they don't really realize that you're standing there until they said something that they really wasn't supposed to say. Then be like, oh, Miss May. I'd be like, yup. Let me get some more popcorn and tea so I can learn some more. But you know, I had a relationship in the building that it worked. You know, most of the buildings that I worked in, that it was like, okay, well, it's just Miss May. Not it's just Miss May, but we could talk around her and work it out. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have a Friday chat before y'all go home for the weekend to give y'all some coping skills on dealing with that stuff too. And they look forward to that, because that was the time I would just do real talk, like you know, no politics. Let's just really talk.
Yeah, because I
Now,
think that's
Mary,
something that men deal with a lot is coping skills. A lot of us don't know how to cope. Like we don't talk about losses too much. You know, we'll
Right.
talk about it briefly, but we don't really expound on it. So when, you know, we suffer loss and we suffer defeat in some areas, our coping mechanisms is either shown in anger or silence. So we don't really run to seek the problems. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's why I said I was fortunate to be able to do that. So that's why I can actually have these conversations. Because if not, I don't know if I could sit there and talk to y'all about this.
Right.
It'd be
And
kind of
I was
awkward.
going to allude to that earlier about how one of the natural relationships of intimacy is understanding your anger. Because in
Yeah.
understanding your anger, you know when somebody is coming into your personal space or your personal elevator and pushing all your buttons, because you're able to recognize, okay, I was irritated, then I became frustrated, and then I sat there and I thought about it for a little bit, and then there was this explosion. You usually need help to even think about. You think about the explosion and you think about the likes and buzz you're going to get from the explosion part of it, but you don't think about like what the triggers were, like, beforehand. So it's like being mindful to even learn that anger and intimacy, they should not necessarily be in the same conversation, but they often walk side by side like kissing cousins.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
kissing cousins.
And when you talk about frustration and anger and disappointment or whatever the emotion may be, a lot of times people don't even have those words.
They don't.
If you ask some people to, and a lot of men, I'll say, if you ask them to name emotions, back, sad, mad, that's it.
That's it.
Nothing in between. If they even say sad.
Look at Chad's face expression. He like,
Listen, those adjectives don't come to mind because they don't know that it's not always singular. Like you can look at sad and then it's just like, all right, well, it's just sad. But no, expound on it. What do you mean? Like, how sad are you? And I didn't know what that meant until I did therapy years ago. So that's why again, I'm able to have these conversations now and be more open than I once was. Like before, it's like I could tell you a little bit, but I really want to save it so much. And now it's like when I'm upset or if I'm going through something, like now I can, instead of me just blowing up, now I can talk through it. Now, before I had issues with, bottling up emotions, and then at the last minute I'ma just explode, because then that's the easiest thing to do, because now it's just like, all right, now it's fight or flight. Now it's like, you've been flying all this time and now you got, now you can't find your plane tickets and now you want to fight everybody. So that's what it started to turn into for me. So for us men, like look at these men today that's so angry that they're taking it out on innocent kids and not knowing that that's what they just did. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen West Philly on fire like this in years. I've seen it, I heard it, but the way that we have to see it, the news is doing it. It's more shock value now. But
again, it's for ratings. Just like they took that segment of the woman being choked out, they're talking about what they feel is going to get them ratings, and they're in a competition between networks.
No, absolutely. But when you talk about how these deaths have affected communities, where we have one dead child and another one in stable condition from gunshot wounds, these men are angry. They're angry at each other, and it's not just simply over turf. It's not over narcotics all the time. It's not even over women all the time. It's really each other. I see you. I don't like the way you look. You look soft. So either I gotta test you to see where you are, or you're gonna do it, but I'm not gonna let you get the upper hand on that. But the whole time it's just like I can't talk to you about what your issue is. Like if I got an issue with another man right now, and it's to the point where we either gonna come to blows or even deeper, you know what? If we can't come to something, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm not running away, but let me distance myself, because that's how other people get involved and other people get hurt.
I'm so proud of you, Chad.
Yeah, come on now. What? You talking to somebody that got suspended from work 4 years ago because I couldn't control my emotions.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I can only imagine.
Oh man, no, you couldn't. But
yes, I could. Yes, I could.
That particular day, oh man, that was probably the worst. That's one of the worst mistakes in my life, as far as as far as in my career, because it could have cost me everything. And I
Mhm.
was so filled with rage over something so like not worth it, that I didn't check myself before I took it there. And
Mm,
I
Mhm.
think that's something that and I'm just speaking for men in terms of what we're seeing right now. And I think that's what we don't do. Like we don't
Mhm.
look at the problem head on, or we don't look at, is that risk worth the reward? So if I
Mhm.
do something to this guy right here, that's either going to take his life or take the life of somebody else who had nothing to do with it, am I willing to deal with the consequence from that?
mm,
Or not even, or we don't even have to take it to a violent level. We talk about relationships. If there are so many options out here, and I have somebody special with me right now, is the risk worth the reward for me stepping out and that person not knowing?
Mhm.
You know
mhm.
what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's
Mhm.
like, these things as men, we have to really start deep diving into this, because like black men, and like where we are with race relations and everything like this right now. Like, we're at the forefront of everything that they don't like. And by they, it's not just simply white people. I mean, the system itself. It's
The
like
social
we're at the
constructs.
exactly
Mhm.
everything that they don't like. So when you keep showing your hand, and that hand is an aggressive hand, without thinking, without planning, then you're just
Mhm.
showing the world everything that they've always said that you were.
Yes, Chad. All right, somebody else said go, Chad.
So
Right.
so it's just,
Yes.
I mean, it's just things that we have to work on in our community. We gotta work on it. Got a lot of work to do.
But
We're making
and
strides, but we
like
got work to do.
we definitely are making strides, and you had said earlier that it starts at home, and sometimes that people use that as a default, because if it didn't happen at home, then they say, well,
Hmm.
I'm okay because it didn't happen at home, so that's my permission to just be out here wilding out. But it's like, at a certain age, I don't know what that age number is, but a certain age and maturity level, it should be, okay, I want to do something better, I want to be better. What do I need to put in place? And you mentioned something that comes to me all the time, and that it's a couple black men who have asked me to just have a space for them to talk, um, about going to therapy, or about places that they can have to just kind of talk things through. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you reminded me of that.
Mhm.
Reminded me of that.
But you know what? At the same time, when I say it starts at home, not and I don't mean
Mhm.
just the walls within our house. I mean, our community is our home. Like, you live in
Mhm.
West Philly, all of West Philly is your home, because that's where you live
Mhm.
at. And if
Right.
somebody knows you in the neighborhood, that's why, like, it things are not the same as they once were, in years past. It's like, a lot of young people, we mock older people now, because if you tell us something that obviously we know what we're doing is wrong, but we're gonna do it anyway, is no, you need to mind your business. But it's like, no, this is, you also got to look at it like, this is a person in your community that not only just simply cares about you, they don't have to know you, but they care about others in the community. So
Mhm.
if you are, like, causing a disturbance, hey, and if you're a man, and a woman has to check you like that, then that's a issue. To me, sometimes that's the issue, because I feel like women shouldn't always have to continuously keep checking men. We have to check each other. Like, it
And it
doesn't
should
always
look
have to fall on
differently
the
if it's
women.
in
Yeah,
public. It should really look differently if
absolutely
it's in
public.
public, like a code word or something. That you guys wait until you get home to talk about it, like, and flesh it out, like what it could have looked like differently. But yeah, no, not in public.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, but that's, that again, it goes back to, we got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do.
A lot
And
of
then
work.
another
Yeah,
thing with that
yeah.
is, I think that we cannot all, and I don't mean no disrespect by this, we can't always keep saying we gotta let make the church step in. The religious institutions are not, they don't have, you guys are not the babysitters to every problem,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like, I see Reverend Waller on the news, probably like a few days a week. And I think it's great what he's always done in the community, as well as other organizers and other community leaders and clergy, at the masjids and everything like that. But I was telling somebody the other day, we can't always look at our religious institutions as the peacemakers for everything. They're giving you like they're basically giving you the tools to do this work every week, every day. At some point, you have to take something from that and just apply it, and not just continuously keep running to the church, to the masjid, to our synagogues. Like if I'm giving you the work and I'm giving you the blueprint, take the work first, stop, sit down, read it, and then apply it. If you don't do that, then we're gonna have the same issues every single day. That's why I don't watch the news as often. Like I'm tired of hearing about us killing each other. I'm tired of hearing about our poor schools. It's like, all right, let's go ahead and just do something about it, and just instead of like dumping our problems on the next person.
Right.
That's why I always say pray for the therapist too, because y'all got it. For real, y'all got that.
Listen, and the thing about it is that we are really a first responder and not really respected as such. But like I have a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors on my caseload, if you will, and how they have been manifesting and coping during this C virus stuff has been tremendously full, is what I'll say.
Absolutely.
Yes. So yeah, definitely send us that healing light and prayer.
Listen.
so that
Y'all
we
saw my
have
sage
the
at this
strength to help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And y'all not
And we take in a
workers.
lot of. We are human, just as everybody else is, and
right.
Like although some of the experiences people will say, okay, well, Mary, you really, brought light to a situation, or you guided us through some kind of activity, because I'm always doing an activity. It still doesn't mean that the weight of the conversation doesn't carry with me. So it's yes, we need an outlet. I used to be able to take it to the dance floor and just, let the hardwood have it. But life changes. So it's like, okay, you always got to have something in place. So yes, thank God for the therapist, because our minds got to stay sane.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't always get a chill period to kind of cope and process stuff before a client is coming in, or a phone call is happening, or a text message to help somebody process a situation.
Yeah. Okay. So Mary, just to wrap us back in.
Okay.
You want to go over the definition of the 5 types of intimacy?
Or we could carry on next week with the same.
Yeah, we could do it that way, and talk more about them next week. We could definitely do that.
Chad, will you join us again next week?
All right, just let me know. Yeah.
Thank you, baby brother.
Your fancy phone timer now.
Now that I know that I'm live, I'll be on my better behavior next time. Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah.
The group is private. It's just those of us who are members of the group that can see it. Well, that's not totally true. Okay, but yeah, you good.
All right, well, just let
it
me
is
know.
on YouTube. That's why I was like, okay, it is out there.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that changes things.
That did not. Yeah.
But this was a good conversation, guys.
It really was.
Yeah.
So give us a thumbs up.
Y'all inviting me.
Feedback. Absolutely. If this conversation was of value to you, if you catch us on the replay, let us know your thoughts about it on the replay. Throw it in the comments and so forth. And we'll see you next Friday for the Relationship Flow Sip and Chat.
And also let us know if there are topics that you're interested in and you want us to delve into. I mean, we can between us, we can talk about all the different mental health disorders.
Truly. And the new ones that we see that live on
COVID done brought all them Jones out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We need a whole new DSM after COVID. Like,
shoot. Yeah, exactly.
You got coping skills you didn't even know you needed to have.
Seriously. So
Okay.
yeah, so do that. Just drop us a message and we'll put it in.
Yep. And if it's any other men that would like to join us in the
Yes.
panel, I'm gonna say it now
Yes.
because I know y'all catch the replay because y'all usually
Yes.
comment. Please, please, please join us because we want to make sure that the conversation is full. And as much as we have interactions with people, we can't speak from all point of views.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right,
make sure
guys.
I come back on with a shirt that ain't all wrinkled, man. Dang, I didn't know I was taking it that far. Didn't nobody
She
say a
didn't
damn thing to me.
nobody say nothing about all of that.
Yeah, man. I was like, wait, we live? I'm like, oh man, there's wrinkles everywhere.
How else did you think we were?
Yeah, not live like this. Yeah,
Not
don't
like
worry.
that.
Don't worry.
I
Live
mean,
in a different way.
you had a whole bunch of
Yeah,
other stuff going on too in your aroma feels.
yes.
Oh,
Aromatherapy. Yes, that's what I take.
Aromatherapy is beautiful. Yes.
Yes.
no.
That's
All
what I
right.
call it
So
now.
All right, guys.
yeah.
All
So
right,
thank
y'all.
you guys for joining us this week, and we'll catch you guys next Friday. Again, the conversation will be flowing throughout the group, throughout the week. So we'll see you next week.
All right. See you, ladies.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.